Marvelous is innovative, as if they came directly from the future. The greatest exhibition in the world is again showcasing the latest innovations in technology and art. A visionary leader is needed for the next fair, so famous merchants and other remarkable characters have arrived to join a trading competition for the highly valued position. Who will become the next exhibition director? Hey everyone, this is Sir Thakas and I'm back with another Dale of Merchants video. This time I will look at the entire Dale of Merchants collection. And when I say the entire collection, I mean it that way. Except for the playmats, I have everything you could have for this game. And I'll get the 4 playmats soon, hoping they don't need too long to ship all the way here. Alright, let's get started. Let me open this treasure trove. The Dale of Merchants collection is a standalone game. It contains plenty of content aimed at fans of the series. The game comes with a large box, which lets you store all the content from the original Dale of Merchants 2, Dale of Merchants 3, the Beaver promo expansion, and of course the contents of the collection itself. While this is a great storage solution to keep all the Dale of Merchants content in a single box, it does come with a ton of new things to play with. The Dale of Merchants collection introduces new Animalfolk sets, with such unique fellows such as the wealthy Tuataras and the Emperor Penguins. Alright, so let's take a look at the contents. This is what you have been waiting for when clicking on this video. First of all, there's not only this beautiful new rulebook with all the rules you need for all the iterations of the Dale of Merchants, but also the Animalfolk Compendium here, outlining all Animalfolk sets for all 4 Dale of Merchants iterations. So you see here the little summaries of each Dale of Merchants Animalfolk set. Alright, the centerpiece of the collection is all 27 Animalfolk decks that give the game its incredible variety. I sorted them here, starting in the lower left for Dale of Merchants 1, over here via Dale of Merchants 2, up to the third part of the series, the Animalfolk from the collection, and last but not least, the systematic Eurasian Beavers for the promo expansion. But that is not all. As you can see, there are more cards here in the back, and I will show them to you now. First up are the trap cards. Trap cards can be included into the game to add more interaction between players. These should be used after you have played a few games of Dale of Merchants. The trap cards are divided into different colors, so you see here purple and then pink, blue, and so on. If you decide to play with them, each player chooses a color. Then after choosing the Animalfolk decks you play with in your game, you decide together on trap cards to include in the game. Each player receives the same trap cards, just in their chosen color. You should play with a maximum of 2 trap cards per player per game. So let's take a look at some sample trap cards. So this is the card Misdirection. For example, it's a technique you play like any other technique of an Animalfolk card. You place the card on top of another player's discard pile, as indicated here. Whenever a player then takes this card into their hand, they resolve the effect indicated by the exclamation mark here at the bottom of the card. For this card, the purple player, for example, who this card belongs to, draws a card from the deck and places it into their hand. The trap card is then placed back at the top of the owner's deck, so of the purple player's deck. Or as another example, the card Insurance Fraud here lets you gain 2 gold from the bank. So you see that these trap cards just add more variety on top of the Animalfolk cards, so there are more techniques you can play with. And that makes the game much more exciting. You don't have to play with these, but let's say you know all the decks and you want even more variety, trap cards could be your friend. These are specialty cards. These are not added to the decks, they belong to the character cards, which I will show you in a few minutes. At the top left, you see the name of the character the specialty card belongs to. But before I'll show you the character cards, let me show you the deck selection cards first. If you saw my review and playthrough for Dale of Merchants, you should already know the online deck selection tool. And if you haven't watched the videos, then I'm sure you will do so after this video, right? With the Dale of Merchants collection, you can also select your decks manually with these deck selection cards. There's a card for each Animalfolk set that gives you a description of the set at the bottom of the card and then provides you with 4 parameters in the middle. Complexity, interactivity, nastiness, and randomness. These are the same parameters like in the online selection tool. And this way you can assemble all of the necessary decks the way you want to. I almost like the cards a bit more than the online tools because it's more interactive, and also you can hand these cards to the other players at the table. So this way everybody can look at the Animalfolk sets and then can decide together which ones they want to use. This is a really great addition to the game. Oh, and before I forget, look at the custom Dale of Merchants sleeves. These are transparent here, but for the Animalfolk decks, you have them with custom card backs here. They have a great feel. They're not as slippery as most sleeves, and this anti-glare look. So these are probably the best playing card sleeves I've ever possessed. Alright, and here in the back, I have all the junk cards of all the Dale of Merchants installments. Okay, we are now done with this compartment up here, but there are a few more things I want to show you. So in the top center are all of the dice you need for more random Animalfolk sets. This is for Dale of Merchants 1, 2, 3, and here down here for the collection. There actually is a character or an Animalfolk set that uses 2 dice instead of just 1. In the lower left here you have all the gold coins and tokens made out of thick and really sturdy cardboard. These are needed for specific Animalfolk and characters from the collection. Here at the bottom you have all 4 market boards of all the installments. They all find a place in here too, that's pretty great. And they're all very nicely designed, just like the entire game. Also, we have a portable market card here, in case you just want to take a few decks with you and not the entire box. And then you don't need one of these market boards, you can just take this card as a little reminder how much the cards cost. That's a pretty neat idea too. A completely new feature in the series are the character cards, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. So these cards are received at the start of the game and provide players with unique and powerful abilities that drastically influence the game. So the Dale of Merchants collection includes dozens of these different character cards, adding even more depth and variance to the serious gameplay. So you could, for example, take Sakwar, I hope I pronounced this correctly, the Scarlet Macaw Elite Broker, and permanently increase your hand size by 1. Or for example, let's look at Hiko, the Tanuki Underdog, that can let you increase your hand also quite greatly if you have less stacks than your opponents, for example. So these character cards have so many different abilities. Some of them are quite simple to grasp, like the ones I mentioned now, and some are more complex. It would take too much time to look at all of them in this video, but these character cards further increase the depth of the gameplay, and there's like a lot of different characters. Look at how many there are, and there are even more in the box here. I didn't even take all of them out. So there are now even more combinations you can play the game with. So let's say you have your 27 Animalfolk decks. You can have a lot of different combinations with those. Then you can also take the trap cards with them, and then the character cards combined with their specialty cards, and then you have a really complex game, which is cool, but you don't need to do that, of course. And then here at the very bottom, you have a few cards that let you organize, that help you organize the abilities for specific character cards. And then also here is a clock that comes into play when you play with specific Animalfolk sets. So you see here, you can set the time of day or even night. And there are 2 Animalfolk sets that play with that mechanic. And that is pretty much all the collection consists of, if you own all iterations of Dale of Merchants. You can play the game very well with only 1 set, which is then, I think, 6 decks of cards, or 8 if you have the collection. But you will have an incredible amount of content if you own everything, as you can see here. And I can strongly recommend that, since, as you might know, this is my favorite deck builder. As a reminder, I have a review and a playthrough on my channel for this game. Also, I'm planning to release a video about all Animalfolk sets rather soon, so this will be very exciting. If you're still watching, thank you very much for sticking to the very end. If you like my content, consider subscribing. It means the world to me if my videos reach people who love board games as much as I do. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.